Clinton, on the campaign trail, Governor Webb has said that he would never have used military force in Libya and that the attack on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi was inevitable. Should you have seen that attack coming?
Well, let's remember what was going on. We had a murderous dictator, Gaddafi, who had American blood on his hands, as I'm sure you remember, threatening to massacre large numbers of the Libyan people. We had our closest allies in Europe burning up the phone lines, begging us to help them try to prevent what they saw as a mass genocide, in their words. And we had the Arabs standing by our side saying, we want you to help us deal with Gaddafi.
Gaddafi also called for the African countries, this is leading up to his death, to actually unite and form their own currency that was pretty much backed by gold and actually sell their oil in gold. Now, that's huge because the United States empire is propped up by the petrodollar. You can't sell your oil unless you're selling it in the actual dollars, in the U.S. dollars. And that's what gives the U.S. dollar its power. That's what gives the United States military its leverage across the world. You can't sell your oil. You can't sell the fuel unless you're selling it in dollars. That's the dominance that the U.S. has right now. Well, whenever somebody threatens that, they become a target by the U.S. empire, and they're pretty much wiped out. That's what happened with Saddam Hussein. You know, there's all this rhetoric about, oh, he was tied to Al-Qaeda. That turned out to be completely bogus. There's rhetoric about, oh, he's got weapons of mass destruction. Bogus. Turns out the guy was prepared to sell his oil in euros, and that threatened the supremacy of the U.S. dollar, because the U.S. dollar is the world's reserve currency, because one of the reasons because of his military that backs it, but also because you can't acquire the oil without U.S. dollar. So when this petrodollar is threatened, the empire drops a hammer. And that's what's really going on here. This is why the guy met an end. He met a very similar end to Saddam Hussein. You know, this is really what it's about.
Our response, which I think was smart power at its best, is that the United States will not lead this. We will provide essential, unique capabilities that we have, but the Europeans and the Arabs had to be first over the line. We did not put one single American soldier on the ground in Libya. And I'll say this for the Libyan people.
But American citizens did lose their lives in Benghazi.
I'll get to that. But I think it's important, since I understand Senator Webb's very strong feelings about this, to explain where we were then and to point out that I think President Obama made the right decision at the time. And the Libyan people had a free election, the first time since 1951. And you know what? They voted for moderates. They voted with the hope of democracy.
So we'll hear all kinds of stuff about democracy and freedom and whatever. Well, look at what's happening in America. Are people becoming more free? With TSA agents at the airport putting their hands down your pants, molesting your kids, molesting you. Oh, it's not molestation, it's a pat down. Really? You're going to pat somebody down based on nothing? Based on no suspicion, based on no probable cause, just because you say so? You're going to put somebody through a machine that people don't even know will affect their health or not, simply because you say so? We have situations where banks are being bailed out by the federal government. You know, is that freedom when if we screw up, we go into bankruptcy, but when these elite banks screw up, they get to take taxpayers' money or put taxpayers into more debt? I mean, is a Patriot Act an example of freedom where they can suspend parts of the Constitution for the sake of protecting people? But this is the same empire that says that, oh, we're doing this for the sake of democracy, the same empire who lied to us about Iraq, the same empire that has consistently lied to us about threats here at home and political situations here at home. Constant lies.
And then I came back to the Pentagon about 6 weeks later. I saw the same officer. I said, why haven't we attacked Iraq? We still going to attack Iraq? He said, oh, sir. He says, it's worse than that. He said, he pulled up a piece of paper off his desk. He said, I just got this memo from the Secretary of Defense's office that says we're going to attack and destroy the governments in 7 countries in 5 years. We're going to start with Iraq, and then we're going to move to Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Iran. I said, 7 countries in 5 years. I said, is that a classified memo? He said, yes, sir. I said, well, don't show it to me. He was about to show it to me. He said, because I want to talk about it. And I sat on this information for a long time, for about 6 or 8 months. I was so stunned by this, I couldn't begin to talk about it. And I couldn't believe it would really be true, but that's actually what happened.